Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Bear River Blogger again, and today we are out in Farmington at the Robert N. Hasenjager Great Salt Lake Nature Reserve. It's actually a 235-acre piece of Farmington Bay on the kind of the northwest corner. It's where the Eccles Wildlife Education Center is, and also where, as you're looking at, the Great Blue Heron Rookery is, which is just a few hundred yards to the north of the Wildlife Education Center. So I thought I'd come out here today and do a video update on the Great Blue Heron Rookery, kind of let you guys know what's going on here. They started kind of early this year. In fact, I think it's been like early February when the herons started showing up on the rookery, which is actually kind of early. Usually I don't start seeing them here until actually about now, till like early March, but they've been here for almost a month now. We've had some really warm days where the rookery was full of birds and things look like they're getting active. And then the last week or so, it's gotten extremely cold. In fact, you can look in the background there on the Wasatch Mountains. We've got some snow. It snowed a few days ago, and the last few nights we've been down in the low teens, like 10, 11, 12, 14 degrees Fahrenheit at night. So things have gotten extremely cold again, and it kind of looks like it put the birds off a little bit. I only see, when I walked around to the west side here, I only see about 10 herons on the rookery, and typically what happens is the male herons show up first, kind of pick out the nest, kind of squabble with the other male herons on who gets what nest. So they kind of decide on their the nesting location, and they kind of wait for the females to show up. And back a couple weeks ago, when it was getting warm, it kind of looked like the females were kind of starting to show up, and the males were starting to kind of court the females. But then that cold stretch, things kind of shut down. And back then, I actually drove over to the main part of Farmington Bay, and a lot of the herons were back out standing on the ice again, like they were during the wintertime. So I think it kind of set things back. So right now, it looks like we've got just males sitting on the nest, waiting for the females to show up, except for if you look in the bottom left-hand corner of the rookery on the left side, the lowest nest on the left side, it looks like there's a heron laying down on the nest. Now, I don't know if that's just a male sitting on his chosen nest site, or if that's one that's actually female that actually laid eggs a few weeks ago when things were actually getting pretty active. It's hard to say because Great Blue herons, you can't tell the difference between males and females just by their plumage. So it's hard to say what that is, but there's a possibility there might be an active nest on there right now. But so far, it looks like most of the activities kind of slowed down a little bit, but it should pick up again when we get some, the weather warms up and spring actually returns, which is supposed to happen now this weekend, and in the next week we're supposed to be getting back up into the 50s, which is normal for this time of year. So I expect things to get back to normal, but for now it looks like the heron rookery is just kind of on pause for a moment. So we're just kind of waiting for things to warm up again. Once the activity starts and the breeding takes place, it's usually about 28 days after they lay their eggs and the chicks show up. And herons, I think, usually lay anywhere between 3 to 5 eggs. And after about 2 to 3 weeks, the adults will leave the nest and spend the day foraging and hunting for food and bring back to feed the chicks. So the chicks are out on the nest most of the day by themselves after about the third week or so. And then about 8 weeks are old, the herons actually start taking short flights around the nest, but the parents are still bringing food back to them until a couple weeks later when they hit about 10 weeks old. Then the chicks kind of leave and they're on their own. So there's about a 4-month period that this rookery is active during the nesting season. So right now, for the next 3 to 4 months, it should be some good viewing, especially when the chicks hatch and they start growing up, and you get to hear them act, how they start calling for food, and the parents start bringing the food back. So it's kind of getting into the good part of the year when the things start happening on the nest. But anyway, it looks like things are kind of calm right now, but it won't be long. This is actually, if you read one of my earlier blog posts, This structure here, these poles in the nesting structure, is actually what I was proposing the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge put up on the auto tour route. And unfortunately, they kind of turned it down, at least for this year, is from what I was told the last conversation I'd had with the refuge. So there is a small window of hope that maybe in the future they will consider putting up a Great Blue Heron Rookery. So if you want to learn more about that, I will link the article that I wrote down in the description below, so you can click onto that and go to the website and kind of read about it, and you can actually contact the refuge through that article and voice your support for a Great Blue Heron Rookery on the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge. If you would like to see one up there, I certainly would, because there's a lot of Great Blue Herons up there, and I think having a rookery somewhere on the auto tour route, kind of close by like this, where visitors can come and see this kind of nature in action, would just be beneficial for the public, for the herons, and for the refuge itself. So anyway, check out the description below and then follow that link to my website. So anyway, I hope you guys are getting out and doing some birding and enjoying the upcoming spring that should be here in I think about 10 days. Spring should start, so that's kind of the best time of year, I think. Birds are starting to move in, migrate back, and breeding season starts. So anyway, I hope this is helpful to you guys, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends that also like nature and bird watching. And don't forget to go to bearriverblogger.com and sign up for email notifications, so each time I do a blog post, you get an email about the new blog post. So anyway, we will catch you on the next video.